So I was just thinking today we'll you know I'm we're we're pushing as hard as we can to try and get to this kind of alpha state, and you know uh like what we're trying to do is, well, it is quite novel, and game mechanics for on-chain stuff is a little abstracted because it's not like a normal game, right? Where like you could just, play Civilization or Age of Empires, then save your game, and then come back, and you can hit as many hit as many functions as you want, and it doesn't really matter because you just start a new game. So, but what we're trying to do here is this is like basically a perpetual game, and it's a perpetual game that you have to you're writing to the blockchain on every transaction, right? So every action is going to cost a little bit of gas. I think Arbitrum's super cheap, but like it's obviously not free, right? And like obviously the goal is that the economic cost of playing the game, you know, uh, like what you can get from playing the game outweighs those small little transactions that you have to do. And so we've gone through lots of iterations in trying to getting it to a point where there's this minimal amount of gas used as possible, but also keeping the state of the data and keeping the realms protected. So you don't get pillaged. But last thing we want to do is like force people to come in every day and hit a couple buttons and spend gas just to secure their resources. So there are ways that we can have our cake and eat it too. And I'm hoping that with this alpha, and just so you know, like alpha means like games in development. Like it's not the final one, and so it's going to be, we kind of want input from everybody, this direction of it, because really everybody that's every everybody that's owner of Realm is essentially is a shareholder in this protocol. So it's a shared protocol, and everybody should everyone can contribute to the direction of it. That's the whole plan. We're just guiding the ship now because it needs direction and heavy development right now. But once we get it to a point where the protocol's live, then proposal to change it can be done through the DAO. But obviously not quite there yet, and we're just in like the heavy development stage and trying to figure it out. How do we build this base that can allow more games to develop on it, plus also reward the Lord's holders, plus also make it fun, plus also make it as cheap as possible in gas and keep it secure. So there's a bunch of little challenges that we're trying to solve, and we've done it. It's come a long way. I'm like it's so close, and I keep saying like one day off, and then I refactor something and I add an extra bit in just because like I wanted this alpha. I want it to be, as complete as possible, but it's never going to be as complete as it needs to be. So maybe in this call we can decide whether we just kind of open it tomorrow, and if everyone's comfortable, you can just test it, and then. But there's a risk that if we run this alpha for a week, then I might just wipe the whole thing and we start again. I'll just deploy the contracts and we just restake. Um, it's just the way these contracts work because everything is immutable. I can upgrade the contracts, but like the data that's locked in the contract, I can't change. Um, but anyway, so basically where we're at is, um, I'm sure you guys have seen some of the gifs that I've been dropping. So this is all live on this URL, which is the staking beta. Um, you can, if you really want, just go and try to get up and running. But we haven't really written the instructions yet. But then we can't really, I'm saying it's a closed alpha, but really, it's all open. It's all just on the blockchain, so anybody can really do it. It's just we kind of want people that are willing to, devote a bit of time and give a lot of feedback, and so we can really make the beta, which we will heavily promote to everybody, be like an almost one-to-one representation of what we're going to release on mainnet. Um, so yeah, I mean, see here, this is all like um, These are all live realms staked. You can see that I've got 13 days of unclaimed resources here. Got my realm happiness. Flip it over, you can see how many buildings I've constructed, my actual stats. Unsettle it. What's the one that I've made unhappy? Oh yeah. So I'll just touch on how happiness works. This is like what I'm hoping we get a lot of input from alpha testers as well. And it's it's a bit obscure, but basically how it works is, so you can see here. So there's 9 buildings, and you can see this is their cost, and this is the effect that they have on your population, and the effect they have on your food supply, your defense, your magic, and offense. And so you can see, what you see. Castles, for example, they suck up 4 of your food supply, which I'll get to in a minute. Why that is important. But you can see they also give you 5 defense and 5 offense, so they give you a big defensive, military boost. And temples. You need 1 of each. Rock, ruby, sapphire, etc. And all these all these values also is another thing we want everyone to kind of think about, because there's a balancing element that we need to try to get correct.
Oh, not this.
Yeah, and so there's a bunch of these. Each building has a different, production cost, and this can be defined in whichever way we want, and so we want to balance it. And there's also the production cost of these buildings we could actually evolve over time as well. So say the first 24 ages, it's fixed at this, cost for resources, and then after the 24th age, it changes, and that might kind of push people to have to trade instead of trying to hoard resources of a specific type. And then you can see shipyard minuses food as well, but it gives you the offense. And so the way happiness works is, it takes your population and it takes your food supply, and see there's an imbalance of food. And anybody that's played Civ understands this. But basically, because there's this negative 22 food and only 8 potential population, it means that you're in a negative, which means that's the algorithm that basically defines your happiness. And so the goal is to keep your population and food supply in balance. And that all that means is that you need to make, when you build a castle, it also means you need to build some farms, which balances out your food. So it means you can't just go full on warmongering and have no cost associated with it. So if you want your best realm, that can attack people well and be well defended, it means you have to, and also have 100% production. It means you also need to build, the eco buildings along with the military buildings. You can't just do one or the other. I mean, you can just do one or the other, but you can see with this one, my total resource production is capped at 59%. So I'll only earn, 6 stone from this realm per day now, rather than 100% or 150%. So that's how the happiness works. I keep thinking these realms are just little digital peasants working hard for me, generating me resources, which is basically what it is, all on chain. It's hilarious. How many people we got in now? Ooh, got 12. Cool. And you can see here, we got a claim all resource button, which claims all your resources. And so this will claim your resources across all your realms when you hit this. So, yeah, okay, that went. You can see I'm pretty rich in resources right now. But in the alpha, the day is actually 1 hour. So you can see here everything reset. Because now any like half days gets passed back into this figure. And so only like full numbers get claimed. But yeah, in the alpha, a day is going to be 1 hour, and a month's going to be 30 hours, and an age is going to be 1 day. But in production, an age will be 1 week, a day will be a day, and a month will be a month. So yeah. So yeah, I mean, at the current development, kind of, this is all working, and so I'm sure there's a lot of input that everybody can give on this already. My current, what I'm doing today, is I'm just structuring all the other kind of little contracts that, like the raiding contract, and these other assisting contracts that aren't fully complete yet, but they're almost complete. So I'm just structuring them today and tomorrow, and I might be able to get them out. But I'm thinking, I don't know, maybe in this call we can just decide, like, if this is something that we all want to just dive into and do this element of it right now, then I'm all for just doing that. But it's just going to mean that it might have to get wiped and then we do it again, as in the alpha, just because it's an alpha, right? But I don't know, does anyone have any questions about this? Because then I can go into the next part.
I think the UI is really clean and really intuitive. You could sit down immediately and without any explanation of it, be able to work out what was going on.
Oh, that's good. Great. So yeah. I mean, it's actually it's amazing, developing on an open blockchain, because it's actually faster than a centralized database, which is crazy. Like, the amount of requests that I'm hitting with these, all this stuff is just, blockchain data. This is all coming straight from Arbitrum, which is crazy. And so to push an update, I upgrade the contract, and then it's upgraded. That's all I need to do. But yeah, anyway, no other questions about that?
Yeah, hi. Neo here. Got a question. So in terms of the the resource production, right, for each of the resource, I mean, there has to be a unit, right, like for each of the resource to be generated per day. Is there a view on how we're going to arrive at that number? Is it like 10 stones or 20 stones a day?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Good question. Well, it's all just everyone should let everyone know. Neo actually did this epic spreadsheet, which actually, you don't want to just drop that into the chat. I didn't include that in the article, but we're going to drop it. I just don't have it up. But yeah, Neo's been working hard on trying to figure out, like, the even cost of upgrades spread for each product resource, because obviously it should cost more to upgrade adamantium than it does to cost wood, and you can see here it's reflected in the cost. So to upgrade adamantium, you actually need dragonhide, and these total values basically equal the cost, the relative cost of adamantium in the system. So it balances out the rarity. It keeps everything in check. And there's definitely going to be some balancing issues with this, which is also something everyone needs to think about. But this is also another thing that Neo actually had the great idea of changing these values. Every couple of weeks or something, which means people stop hoarding and you have to keep trading, basically. But yeah, in terms of Neo, your question about how much production per day, I don't think it really if it's 100 or it's 1,000, as long as it's in line with, if this was 50 and this was 9,000 and 120, but production per day was 1,000 per day, then it wouldn't really matter, right? It's all just we're just trying to keep them round numbers. I think I've got it at currently. The base production's 100 a day. I don't think this is the latest version, but I've got it at 100 production per day. Is the base production?
Yeah. The reason why I was asking that question is that yes, we could start with some arbitrary number like 100. To start with. At the same time, the cost for the buildings, right? I think there has to be some kind of a relationship or some kind of proportionality, right? Like in terms of how much resources getting produced every day, and it must be kind of comparable to how much it's going to cost to construct a building.
You mean in the total Realm universe, how much is getting made per day?
That's right, and also the cost that we are going to come up with, right, to kind of construct a building. It has to make sense. I mean, if you see what I mean, right? Like if there is too much production in the system and the cost of the building is low, too low, then people can just construct many buildings in a short span of time.
Mm-hmm.
Or on the other end of the spectrum, if there is too little production, if it's going to cost more and it's going to take a longer time for people to construct any building, I think we just have to calibrate that to see what is that kind of number that we have to put in the system so that there's a right balance, so that we don't end up in either extremes.
Yeah. Well, the other flip of that is when you raid a realm, there'll be a tier success rate almost, and so the tiered success rate. So let's just say if I'm successful in raiding Lulapil from Nicola, then the algorithm basically determines a percentage of how successful that raid was. So it'll be between 0 and 100, and that will, if it's 10% a successful raid, it means it will drain 10% of the available resources. But it will, and then if it's 50% or more, it will raid 50% of the resources. Plus, it might destroy a castle, for example. I haven't quite figured out the perfect mechanics for that yet, but there will be there will be a loss of if there's a successful raid on you, you'll have a castle destroyed, which means you have to rebuild it, and will also mean it will affect your happiness rating, which means that you'll have to go in and change your either build some farms or something. So there is that element of it where there's resources being burnt from the building cost itself and also the cost of war. So yeah, I know what you mean. It's going to be a little tricky to balance. It's going to be pretty hard to figure that out on the fly in terms of the total output of the realm, because we don't actually, the total output of the whole realm universe and then scaling it to that's going to be tricky to do. I don't know. You're the numbers guy. What did you think?
Yeah. No, I think what I was thinking, Lord, is maybe we could do some simulation, right? I think we have worked out the cost to upgrade the individual resource production. I mean, that is fine. I think we have the mix. I think now what we want to do is we want to work out the cost to do the building, which is what I'm kind of taking a stab at it, and I'll send a version in a couple of days. I think once we have that, what we could do is we could do some simulations, just some projections in the spreadsheets, right, and see how does it all kind of stack up, and then we can calibrate, right? For example, maybe we can set the individual resource production at 100, and then maybe we can work out some numbers for the cost to construct a building, and then see, we can just do some simulation, right? We can automatically crunch some numbers in the spreadsheet and see how quick are the lords are able to construct the building with these settings.
Gotcha.
Right?
Yeah. I see what you mean. So like how the total output of wood, for example, should be the cost to build a castle should be proportionate to the total output of the.
Yes.
And so we can easily get the total theoretical output if 100% of the realms are staked, but to get the output of only the realms that are staked across is going to be. I'm not sure that's going to be able to be done very easily. It might be, but
with the graph we can do it.
You reckon?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But then I mean it's going to have to change dynamically then. But I don't know. Maybe we just base it off the total output of 100% of the realm staked. You know what I mean? That's an easy figure to figure out because we already know the rarity of all the resources. Plus we know the base production rate. And so it's say you're getting 10 wood a day.
Yeah.
Well, and it costs you 300 wood to make a castle. That's that's 30 days of wood production at base rate. Maybe if you get to level 3 wood, it might take you 20 days. So yeah, I mean the building should be expensive in my point of view.
I think it's just about figuring out how expensive.
Yeah, they shouldn't be cheap. Let's work on that this week then. And we can update these values pretty easily.
Yeah.
So we can just tweak them as we go. Maybe if you want to have a crack at that and see what you can come up with.
Yeah. A lot. Yeah.
Great.
Hey Loaf, I also got a question.
Yes.
The right
Lord
time.
of Maps. Yeah. What's up, sir?
So, what do you guys think that how many realms does the average player have, and is the game fun with one realm?
There's 2,000 holders, so I guess that makes 4 realms per holder on average.
Yeah.
So, but also, the other way around. I heard for some people maybe you could got like 20 realms. Timshell got 40 realms.
Yeah.
Like that's some snowball. Amount of realms, no?
Yeah. Well, I'm hoping that we get as many players as possible. In this. I mean, people will be. I mean, you can do whatever you want with your realms. You can stake 80 of them and be a corner of the market in some things if you like. But I think the game is going to be the best, the most fun when there's the most amount of people, because you'll be able to come back and see who's rated you. So I'm going to put somewhere on this realm or somewhere. There'll be like a transaction list who's like, it'll be like, I don't know, Lord of Linen.eth has just raided you. And he's destroyed your buildings and pillaged you, for example. But the more people that are playing,
you didn't flush your toilet. When you
so the more people we have in the orders, and the more kind of tribal element we get to it, where people are kind of have alliances and are potentially attacking. Maybe there's an epic war between titans and giants where they just keep fighing. Wouldn't that be amazing?
Yeah, but maybe. I think the alliance angle would be necessary, right? If you have a lot of people with like maybe single realms, like how would they like put up a fight to the heavy lords, the heavy hitters?
Yeah. Well, I think it's going to be, you're not going to be able to attack your own order. So there's that natural alliance that will filter people into, people might. I think I've seen some people selling their, trying to get all the same order. And I mean, that probably makes
Right.
sense. It probably makes sense
Yeah.
because then you can you could basically double your effort against another order, because if you have one of every order, that means you can only
Yeah, yeah.
in a war with another order, you can only commit one realm.
Yeah, you align your forces
Yeah, you align your forces.
way
And you
better.
can...
Yeah, it's really cool. I think there's still a lot of potential for alliance plays and the orders are the alliances. Are maybe also planned for like sub order like guilds or something?
Yeah, I mean, but it's everything's on the table. Maybe that could work.
Very cool.
Guilds. Yeah, perhaps guilds within the orders. I'm just not sure how would we do that.
For
Maybe
resource, I don't know.
yeah.
Because you have like carpenters and stuff like that.
Mm.
Maybe that's like one layer too deep for the alpha. Maybe that's for the
Yeah, I
beta.
think that might be one layer too deep for the alpha, but it's something to
Yeah,
think about. Though. Keep thinking about it because
Yeah, okay. I am done with my questions, by the way. Thanks for demoing.
Thanks, yeah. Yeah, so this is basically where the current and Red's actually got the bridge is. Red, do you want to explain the bridge?
Yeah, it's pretty much completely functional now, I guess. So we can go from layer 1 to layer 2, and from layer 2 back to layer 1. On the alpha, it's sort of a bit quicker for the withdrawals than it is on mainnet. Not sure if anyone's used Arbitrum going back from layer 2 to layer 1, but yeah, it's a weak withdrawal. And the same will be the case for the realms. After you withdraw, it'll take a week for that process to actually occur. Do you have any? There's some claims down the bottom. Lord of Fear.
Yeah, they are. I think got to be on.
Yeah, you've got to be on ETH to actually do the withdrawal on layer 1. But yeah, so basically you have to initiate a withdrawal and then come back a week later, and you'll be able to actually take it out on layer 1. But yeah, that process is all working now, which has been exciting because it's been a bit of a sort of innovative. Yeah. There's no documentation or anything on that.
Yeah. It's also the first of its kind. I mean, I'm not sure if anyone else has seen one, but I haven't seen a ERC 721 bridge that actually you can bridge back your asset. So in theory, with all this, you'll be able to. So you've got your realm on layer 1. You bridge it across to layer 2, and then you go to your empire, and it will appear here. So this is your layer 2 realm, and then you can settle it. And once you settled it, hang on. Reload. Once you've settled it, you can you get an S realm. So this card is a settled realm, and so it itself is an actual ERC 720. It's an NFT that you can trade with somebody whilst it's staked. So you can build it up. You can build the production up. You can, maybe you can leave the resources unclaimed if you really want. You can build up your buildings. You can fight wars with it. Whatever, and if some new player in the game, wants to put an offer on it, they can put an offer on it, and you'll be able to sell it whilst it's settled. And so when you sell it, they'll then have ownership over the S realm, and then they can come back to the bridge and actually withdraw the layer, the layer 1 original realm. So
after they unstake.
Yeah. So after they unstake, then they get the actual original realm back. Then they go back to the bridge, and they can transfer it back to layer 1 if they really wanted to. And so
in the ideal world, that won't happen. I guess we'll get some more NFT marketplaces with some vision on layer 2. Yeah. Get those cheap transfer fees on layer 2 as well. But yeah,
I actually had a wild idea about a marketplace last night. I went down a rabbit hole, and I think I've got a great idea for how to do one in the loot universe for very cheap, but still needs to be explored. But yeah, I think we're like it's on our roadmap that we will do a native, it's like a NFT marketplace, and we'll probably obviously be loot specific to begin with. But you'll be able to use that marketplace to transfer your S realms around. You know, there'll probably be a thriving market of trading S realms. Yeah, so I mean, this is basically where we are. There's a couple other things I want to talk about. Dham still here? Yeah, he is. Okay, so Dham is the man, and he has been working hard on upscaling, taking the realm data and turning it into, well, you know, making Realms version 2. And I'm sure how old everyone is, but if you remember like the DOS games or the 90s games, you know, everything was pointy, everything was low fidelity. Or, you know, Mario 8-bit, and then, you know, Mario 3D, and then, you know, Mario VR or whatever comes next. And, you know, this is where we're at with Realms. We're at the 2D point. These are the maps that you've just been given, but you've never actually explored the realm yet. And so this is what Dham has come up with through a series of notebooks and lots of tweaking. But this is an upscaled version of this map. And so this is an actual voxel map done in Magicka Voxel with all the height maps and the rivers and the coastlines all mapped off this SVG. And so this is the Realm version 2, which is a voxel map, which in theory we should be able to run through a 3D rendering program, and you should be able to explore it in the future. That's still yet to be figured out, but that's the evolution that's going, which is crazy.
That's epic.
That's so. This will be the discovered realm you get that shows up. We're thinking when you settle a realm. So yeah, well done, Dham.
That's amazing. That's gone from just a conversation through to like a generated idea all within less than a week. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's crazy. Voxel arts is just so, I don't know, it looks crispy and it's got a great depth of field, and you can import these into, you know, a Minecraft engine, I believe. I think you can, because it's all just blocks, and you can see the scale of it. Like, it's a huge map. Like, this is like, it's like the size of Skyrim. Look how big the mountains are, how big the rivers are. It's huge. So yeah, I mean, this is the evolution of the realms, which is crazy. Love it.
So it's official or what? That it's gonna be the second version.
For sure. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
Congratulations, man. Congratulations.
So yeah, I mean, you know, like, this is, you know, like, just like how loot was the primitive, you know, the maps were the primitives. You know, this is the data that is from the map, and they can be extrapolated into, you know, other assets.
Yeah, Lord, I think what is also really cool is that, you know, in the settling framework, that you're like a bunch of adventurers or pioneers, or forgot how the Oregon Trail guys settling for new lands. They use a map, and then they look at the map and say, "Oh yeah, these are some fertile lands. Let's settle there."
Yeah.
And then you actually go there.
Yeah, you settle it.
Yeah.
And you discover it. You discover the 3D version of it. Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, I mean, it's some amazing stories about the Portuguese in the 1400s, what they did. They're pretty much most of human history was like that, right? You just kind of went to this foreign land, never looked back. But we can go on a tangent. We won't talk about that.
Yeah, we'll keep it lower on the atrocities than.
We'll keep it lower. Yeah,
is
yeah,
it in
yeah,
Spanish?
yeah, yeah. But yeah, no, well, this is amazing. I mean, like you did this in like a week. So yeah, I mean the other, also another announcement is that we've got another developer starting, who's going to assist with the contract work and UI work. Yeah, I don't think he's not on here, but I'll drop his name in today at some point, which is exciting. I'm just looking through the roundtable questions. Yeah, anyone got any other questions? Just you can just speak or drop it in the chat. Oh, trying to figure out where I am. Will Lord be an ETH asset that is staked to use in the game? How about resources? They live only on L2 player. Yeah, so Lords is just a regular ERC20, so you can use it in any way you want, but it will be generated from the staking. That's how you get it. You have to have settled your realm, and it will. The distribution rate is dependent on how many settled realms there are, and it will be distributed at the end of every age. Oh well, it won't be distributed automatically, but you'll be able to claim it at the end of every age. You can see here, there's a little timer when the age ends. And after every age ends, there'll be a figure here of how many potential lords you can claim, but basically you just need to hit claim all lords, and it will determine how many lords you're eligible to according to how many realms you have settled, and they will deposit into your wallet, and then you can do what you want with them. But they're going to be used for, in the marketplace, which is what the new dev is. His core focus is going to be building this over the next couple of weeks. Yeah, these are all going to be denominated in originally in lords, so you have to trade lords for resources.
Okay, great. So to follow up on that, there's not going to be like an open market for wood. You couldn't trade wood for stone. You trade wood for lords.
No, you can. You can. We were just Red and I have been talking about this all week, and we're in basically the marketplace is like it's a AMM, so it is you can actually make LP pairs for wood to stone, but if you think about it, there's 22 times 22 potential LP pairs, so it's a bit too many for just us to do LP pairs for. So I'm hoping that the community can do them. Basically, anyone can step in and actually be an LP for copper to obsidian or whatever they choose. So there is the potential to be able to do that. So yeah. So that answer your question?
Yeah, and I'm sorry if it's a super basic question, but say there was somebody that I knew through the channel and he had a bunch of gold and I wanted a bunch, I wanted sapphire. Could I just DM him and say, hey, I'll give you like 500 gold for 300 sapphire, and then we just, have enough of a trust where we just swap it like that? I mean, do you have that kind of control over the individual resources, or is it just okay?
Yeah. They're just 1155 tokens. So, I mean, we're not going to be. I mean, I don't think we're going to be building a swap kind of contract, but we might be able to do that. But I think the focus is to do the marketplace. But you could, how you go to Etherscan and send tokens to someone, or you can just MetaMask. I don't know, Red.
They're meant to be bringing out support for 1155s in the next 6 months, but I think they've been saying that for a year. But once they do that, then you'll be able to just transfer it straight from your wallet to another wallet address.
But I'm pretty sure you can do it with there are other wallets you can do it. You can transfer them directly in.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how that Frame wallet develops. That's looking promising.
Yeah, I think you can. There's still in the. You can still transfer. I mean, if it's not an easy way to do it, then you know, we might be able to build something in that just makes it pretty easy to just transfer them around, because they're just like any other token. I don't know why. I think they're just starting to emerge as really this like defining token in games. They just haven't quite hit there yet. But we're starting to see a lot more of them. I mean, Loot Mart stuff was all in 55s. They lend themselves perfectly to games.
Yeah,
because they're.
It means in this case, if you wanted to swap with someone else, that you can just send them 4 resources into one transaction and pay the 1 transaction fee rather than having to do 4 individual transactions. So
yeah, exactly. So you can do batch transfers.
So it should be super cheap to actually do that process if you want.
Yeah, so you can see here, you can just you can basically just send, you know, as many. You put the resource IDs in, you put the amounts in. You could send 22 resources in one transaction to somebody if you wanted. So yeah, it's a huge. They're great. These 1155s, they're perfect for gaming.
Awesome, thanks. Hey, I love what you guys are doing. This is great.
Thanks. Yeah. It's coming together, but you know, we really want this whole gaming protocol, just to be evolved by by all the lords. So, and it's looking like it is. You know, we got DHAM doing the maps. Neo stepping up, doing some numbers. Then we got all the mod lords doing their jobs as well, and everyone just contributing ideas. I mean, this is how we do it, right? You know, this is how we make the best game possible. Yeah, this is like step 1. Once we get this kind of resource going, then non-realm holders will be able to come over and like play games on your realms. That's the that's the goal. And so starts with the realm holders, but evolves into every potential loot derivative being able to play on the realms too, and utilize the resources in whatever they choose to do with them as well.
I think it's good to give like an example. Like, what do you give us an example of something you might imagine taking place on one of the realms.
Right. Okay. So let's say you're a realm holder, and let's just say you're 2 M-Loot holders, and there's a contract where you can firstly the realm holder can put up say 10 Dragonhide as a winning as a prize or something, and then there's 2 M-Loot holders that can come on and actually fight for that prize, and they have to deposit some resources into the contract, and then the winner actually gets the 10 Dragonhide perhaps, or they lose their resources or whatnot. Because it's all just these resources, and they're on the realms, and you're the owner of the realm, you'll be able to set these things, these mini games up, and people can interact with them, and then you could potentially earn the earn a fee for them being playing on your realm.
And so from their perspective, they're coming along and they're having a sort of fight or whatever on your land. They win. One of them wins the purse, which is the 10 dragon skin, and then for those guys, they might use that dragon skin to do something with, or they might switch it to Lord. And
they could swap
Lord
with the lords
somewhere else, or
exactly. Yeah, I mean, the goal is to create the consumption of the resources and the and the demand for lords. And so if they get the Dragonhide, then they can go and sell it for lords, and then maybe buy a realm, or they can sell it for lords and buy well, they can sell it for other resources or something. But it's all retained
so-
within this ecosystem.
So, say for example, there was some kind of like crafting, like workshop thing.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
Yeah. So
I don't know if
that's
that's even gone.
yeah, that's been sort of, and we're thinking about that. Yeah, so that's definitely something that's going to happen. It's just we need the base, resources building, and then what we can do is, maybe even do some kind of crafting recipes, which they allow you to make some new special material or some special item. So
Or
you use
boost a statistic for a certain
Yeah.
amount of time.
boosters, yeah, exactly, or whatever. But there's all these, yeah, exactly. There's lots of possibilities you could do with that. But yeah, the crafting is something that I've been thinking about a lot, and that's definitely going to happen at some point.
And so I guess it's like just then trying to visualize, say if somebody comes over from like a different part of loot, they take part in an attractive kind of bounty, one of them wins, they then get some dragon hide, and then actually they can go and they can craft, and they've created like a new tool or weapon or whatever. And so I guess then thinking about the interoperability of like what do they then do, how do they then use that in their own kind of derivative or in the broader universe. And that's basically up to other developers to come along, get excited about this, and I guess collaborate with you to give the things created here utility elsewhere.
Yes. Yeah, like exactly. So the resources themselves. Well, we're reaching out, and we're trying to talk to in other projects that where we can kind of share the assets, and we consume their assets, they consume our assets, and it builds this whole interoperable ecosystem of gaming. I mean, we're at the early stage, right? This is all novel, but that's the theory, and I think it's
cool.
It's evolving and heading in that direction very fast.
It's like building not only an economy within this system, but then tying into all the moving parts of economies and tokens being created elsewhere. So it's completely insane when you think about it. It's a mad experiment.
Exactly, yeah. And it's kind of, I was explaining it to someone yesterday. Someone that, I mean, everyone here is probably deep in it, but the easiest analogy is like, Fortnite. I hate that game, but anyway, it's a huge game. And like, all the assets that you spend on that game, if you buy skins or whatever, they're all retained within that one ecosystem. And so if you get sick of the game, you can never take them out. There's all, you've paid for them all. They're all stuck there. Whereas in an open system like this, what we're designing, you can, you make your assets, and then you can go and trade those assets with someone from another game, without any third party. Everything is interoperable with one another. And that's the way the games are heading. Take one asset from one game, use it in another game. Take one asset, sell it, and then go into the other game. Vice versa. Yeah.
That's cool, man. I guess I know that I think it's sometimes good to, and I say this a lot, but like you guys, when you're sitting there, like thinking and collaborating and sort of building this out, you've got like a vision of where you're heading to, and it's fascinating. So like for us to be able to sort of come in and drop in and sort of like hear it, and try to understand it and imagine it. And, no one can really predict where it's going to go and what's going to happen next. You can kind of see the direction.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, I don't know, the way that I think everyone here is full on, 100% convinced crypto is going to dominate the next decade. And, it's a binary answer. It's like, you either believe that, crypto is going to fade away and like, we're going to go back to whatever was before it, or crypto is going to penetrate every aspect of every application. and there's no in between really in my eyes. It's not like the internet was just like this little thing that just kind of tickles along. It's like it grows exponentially, and that's exactly what's going to happen with these open networks. They're going to they haven't even broke into the mainstream kind of. I mean, NFTs are kind of the first kind of application that has kind of broken into mainstream. I mean, you try to explain DeFi to people, and it's over the head of a lot of people. But we're just this is so early. It's only really in the last 2 years that that crypto's had a really solid use case. Up until now, it's just been discovery of this is cool technology, but what do we do with it? And now it's okay, it's cool technology, and this is what we can do with it. And so this is Cambrian explosion of ideas and innovation happening right now. Yeah.
I have a really specific question.
Yeah.
So you've gone from you've just gone from the macro, the big picture, and I think that's super fascinating, and the whole explosion of ideas and exponential age and all that stuff. Now my question is the food generated only consumed by the one? These assets are kind of universally, so the resources are kind of universally dropped into your economy, your own individual budget. Where does the food go? Is the food only for the individual realm?
Yes. Yeah, you mean the food supply?
Yeah.
So, it's all isolated in the realm.
You can't just go and buy a load of food.
No. You have to buy you have to build the farm.
Yeah.
Or whatnot. Yeah.
So your resources created, aggregated, and you get one universal wallet, but the individual realms remain independent units. Their happiness, all that stuff is
exactly. Yes. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, everything in your wallet. I mean, if MetaMask supported these, they would appear here because these are owned by my private key. These are all just crypto tokens, so that there's no, they're just 1155s. You could trade them on OpenSea. I think you can trade them on OpenSea. I never have, but I think you can. But yeah, they're just they're fungible 1155s. Yeah. All right. Well, any other questions while we're at? Because we've been going for about an hour now. So,
Pluro had a question about the DAO.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Oh. Where is he? There is a DAO. Yeah. So I mean, it's early days, and as I said before about us core devs just steering the ship right now because we need the protocol needs to be developed before we can allow before the kind of governance structure of changing the protocol can be put in place. Otherwise, things just move too slowly. And there's obviously a huge benefit for moving slowly when the protocol's developed. But we're in the kind of high velocity stage right now, so we need to just move fast. But once it is developed, then when all the contracts can be upgraded, for example, or the changing of the resources, all these variables within the protocol itself could all be voted on by the DAO. And currently, the 5% of there was a vote last week on increasing the royalties for OpenSea of the realms, and so that passed from all the lord holders of the realm holders, and it's increasing to 5% now, and that 5% is going into the multisig, which we've used to sweep the floor a couple times, and we'll use to continuously develop the platform. We want this whole thing to be community run and community driven, and so by increasing that to 5%, that's going to give us more resources to play with and more yeah, just more resources to develop it, basically. But yeah, we've just been using it to sweep the floor and to create some bounties with and whatnot. But that'll evolve as we just haven't built out the whole governance structure of a DAO because it hasn't been. I think that's going to come next.
But the discourse is there, and if
Oh,
anyone
the
has any
discourse, yeah.
proposals on how some of that royalty fee should be spent, then you're more than welcome to submit a proposal on discourse, and yeah, we'll sort of flesh out that whole process more formally in the future on how we move from proposals into actual treasury spending. But that's one exciting way that we can develop the platform in the future.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Well, I think that was basically. Any other questions?
I think there were a couple more.
hang on.
That got
Sorry.
lost.
Yeah, I get lost in them. Okay, Sean, are there any plans like a scholarship system, which would surely be great for exposure and reduce the workload of large holders? Scholarship system. What do you mean by that? Does that mean you mean like someone you can loan out your realms? Is that what you mean?
I think it's an Axie Infinity terminology, if I'm right, Lord. Yeah.
Yeah, basically what I mean is, if the game's going to have any depth and playability, it's going to take some time to interact with, I suppose. So maybe, larger holders would want, other guys to play for them, and kind of pay them a small fee to carry out interactions and grow a player base maybe that way. Because we want it to scale, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, interesting. I think we've thought about it.
It's definitely a good way that we can get people to be able to access the game without having to, make the full investment of a realm, especially as in the future, realms might get quite a bit more expensive.
I guess you could approve the that wallet, whoever you give the scholarship to, you could approve them to interact with the S realm. That could work, maybe.
Yeah. For a certain time.
Yeah, for a certain time. Yeah, it's definitely possible.
Only certain functions. Yeah.
And also looking, ultra long term, could we, if other games are going to be built on these realms, could we foresee them being kind of base layer for a game like Valheim or, similar kind of concept?
I love that game. That's so good.
Or maybe like Ark, Survival Evolved. Could we become, kind of globally recognized for?
I think. I mean, yeah, it's. It comes back to what I was saying about an open chain. Every action is basically a write to the database, which is what you pay the gas for. You're paying the gas to write to the Ethereum. But I think there probably a future exists where there's this is like super new, and I haven't actually seen it really. I think there may have been a few games that have done it, but you could explore these 3D voxel worlds in the browser, but they're not going to be on chain when you're exploring them, right? Because you can't. They're going to be 20 megabytes, these maps, or probably even more if you scale up some of the fidelity of them. So that part can't really be on chain, but your interaction, perhaps you need to pay to access the game, could be. So there's an entry point where it's like a hybrid on-chain, off-chain type game, which I think is definitely going to emerge. Just haven't quite figured out how that would work, but I'm pretty sure it can be done. So, in theory, you could, have your private key, you're the owner of the realm, and you can allow people to come into your realm and explore it or play on it for a small fee through the browser. But the realm itself, 3D map, isn't actually on chain; it's on some server. But the act of actually entering it costs some crypto.
But I think that space in 5 years' time is going to look very different.
Yeah.
Yeah, who knows?
Who knows? Yeah, but
There are probably AAA games like that may occur. Just it's going to require so much separation between the front end client and the blockchain.
Yeah. Well, I think the way the loot universe is going, and we really want to be, the loot players and the whole loot verse. That's where we're positioned. We want, everyone's got on the same page here. Everyone likes realms. Everyone likes, fantasy games and whatnot in gaming. So, there's a huge, explosion of ideas happening in this whole space, and we're at the forefront. We see us. It's like kind of us, Genesis, Loot Mart, and there's a few other projects that are kind of leading the charge in this whole lootverse space. Loot Exchange. And the rate of development and the rate of kind of storytelling and whatnot, there's a lot of interest, and I think it's about to ramp up heavily again. It kind of went through a lull, and this was kind of good for building this stuff because there was that crazy hype cycle for the first 2 weeks, and now it's kind of tapered off, which is the same with any project really. But there's so much thought and development going on in this whole loot universe, and we're just positioning ourselves to be the map that the lands that people play these games on.
I think something that I don't know if it came up, sort of me misinterpreting it, but it's something to talk about is if we're going back to that point that Sean made about what do you call it, the scholars thing. If you were, say for example, these realms have 6 regions, 22 cities, whatever. Could you? That's my dog scratching and banging the computer. Could you sort of fractionalize? So at the moment, there can only be 8,000 people who own a realm, but you could, for example, say actually, this realm divides up into a 3x3 grid, and actually could become derivative, or the NFT could change, or hey, I'm not technical, and I don't know smart contracts and NFTs and the detail you guys do, but could there be a way that would multiply the number of owners from 8,000 to 200,000, or something like that, to change the order of magnitude of ownership potentially?
Yeah, we've discussed splitting up regions, I guess, and sort of making it a new NFT for each region in a realm. But yeah, I think we'll have to get it a bit further down the track before we start discussing that.
Yeah. I mean, the maps themselves are kind of, little slices of what looks like a bigger map. So, they could be expanded, but, we just don't, the last thing we want to do is dilute, the current realm holders with just the same realms.
If anything, it'd be the current realm holders would be the ones to benefit in the sense that they would be, rather than creating a huge amount of supply, it's they are almost selling off portions of their realm.
Well, I mean that could work. There is definitely a future that can happen. We're just got to figure out. We got to play it right. So all the OG realm holders benefit.
Yeah. I'm thinking miles down the line, to be honest, and just because that whole idea of
we want more players, right?
Yeah. It's it can't be elitist or exclusive.
No.
Well, maybe it could be, but probably would be best if it had broader appeal and somebody sitting playing on their mobile phone. Ultimately,
it shouldn't be restricted. Just
scale
to
comes.
Yeah. So you mean yeah. I guess it's an interesting, it's a tricky question, but I'm sure we'll all come up with something. But we're basically, the future is us to decide. We can.
I can.
Yeah, go, dear.
So Yeah, I actually like the idea. Right now, the map you're looking at, it's actually a 4x4 grid. But yeah, imagine that. Yeah, as a lord, if you want to generate some more incomes via, I don't know, some mobile game, you can advertise your land and say like, "Hey, got this. I need some fields that need to be worked.
Yeah.
Gotta get myself some idle clickers here." And then you kind of like, yeah, didn't they do it in the old times, in the medieval times, like that? Like they
You're,
rented out their land to work on and stuff like that. So yeah,
you're
it's funny, a really funny concept. I like that
Feudalism.
actually.
yeah, feudalism. You're the lord, and you're the peasants are your subjects.
Yeah, but you're also increasing the player base, more or less, you know.
Yeah, no, exactly.
And then you
I
have
mean-
like, no, come to our realm. No, to come to my realm.
Yeah. Yeah, it's all interesting ideas. Well, luckily, you know, the framework that we're designing, you know, it can enable a lot of these things. It's a pretty interesting contract structure, and if anybody's like, if there's any contract developers in this call or people that are really interested in like looking at the actual contracts, I mean, we can do. I'm not going to do a session now because I'm sure there's people that probably don't want to see that. But if there are people that want to see that, just drop a chat in and we can do like a specific call just going over just the code. Because I'd love to show it to everybody and, you know, show how we're doing what we do. And we are going to make it all open source when it's ready, but it's irresponsible to make smart contracts open source until they're ready. So, yeah. But yeah, we're happy to, I would love to just kind of do a walkthrough of it if anyone's interested. So just, I don't know, drop some messages in or whatnot, and we go over it. Yeah, I mean that's a good idea, Combo. I mean, but there could be a future where, like, you know, every realm holder that exists right now, we expand it to, you know, 3 more realms. So, you know, they get airdropped 3 new realms, or they can claim 3 of them, and then they can do what they want with them. So they're not getting diluted at all, but they can also sell them. But I guess there's a weird kind of rarity to that. I don't know. Guess that'll come down to a vote. We're not just going to do that. That's for sure. Yeah. But yeah, I think there's a lot of possibilities like that. But yeah, that's a good problem to have, isn't it? What else we got? Combo, what about a league function that is figured out on a weekly, monthly basis and allows for rating of people in your league? This way, larger realm holders can't take advantage of smaller realm holders. A league function. Do you know that you can't attack your own order, right, Cambo? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, I know that. I mean, I was just trying to figure out a way for some of the people who might have larger realms, maybe, and especially if they start to bring those realms all together into one order, it could cause some pretty heavy, out of balance things where they can just destroy other smaller realms where maybe it only has 2 to 3.
Yeah. It's a weird question, isn't it? It's an interesting question. Well, it's going to be like, there's going to be a cooldown period after you get attacked. Like, you can't be attacked for a period of time. So there is that.
That'll definitely help.
Yeah, that'll help. I mean, look, I don't know how we. Yeah,
it'll be interesting to see if there is someone that has too much power, whether people band up on the Discord or in other areas as well to try and take him down.
Take him down, yeah.
I'm not sure. Yeah, one person with 80 realms isn't necessarily stronger than 80 people with 1 realm. So
yeah, because they got to manage 80 realms by themselves at this point.
Yeah, I think there'll be some interesting social dynamics that go on in situations like that too.
It's going to be fun. I mean, look, it's at the end of the day, you know, these are resources. If you lose them by being raided, yeah, you're losing, you know, opportunity cost. But you just need to wait another day and then they're regenerated. Well, depending on how much you've been destroyed. But yeah, I can't. Honestly, I can't. I'm so excited just to look at these transactions happening and watch people get raided, and, you know, watch natural alliances form. It's going to be so awesome. Sean, will lords be issued at a fixed rate per realm rather than according to any rarity rests? Yeah. So the lords issuance is based off that it's based off the ages. So there's 104 ages, and there's a decreasing supply of lords per age, and you get allocated if you're staked or settled in a whole age. So you settle in age 1. You're entitled to age 2's supply in age 3. So you have to be settled an entire age, and then you're entitled to the previous age's lords distribution. And the way that works is the total amount of lords over how many settled realms. So if there's 10 realms settled, and there's 1,000 lords to distribute, that's 100 lords each gets distributed. And it's done off realm, so it's not done off your wallet. So if you have 5 of them, you'll get half of them. And then Dan FT said update partnership with Magic. I think at this point, we're not going to be including Magic as a functioning thing in the Realmverse. The way that I see, those guys are doing cool things, but I don't see, we see a future where Magic's doing their thing, we're doing our thing, and then a gamer can come between both and do whatever they want with the treasures or do whatever they want with the resources. And someone might come along that makes a game that consumes both of them, which I'm sure is going to happen. But it's not something that we're going to have deep integration with. Love a code walkthrough, Nicobar. Okay, let's do it. Maybe I don't know. Maybe I'll drop a time sometime this week, and we can go through it. Then we can see who else wants to join. Okay, Wise. Another contract walkthrough. Yeah, great. Is there going to be a max supply of lords? Yes, there will be. It'll decrease over 2 years, and then that'll be it. Unless
currently.
Yeah, currently. Unless the DAO votes on to increase supply for some whatnot reason, but there'll be a fixed supply. Yes. So they'll get rarer and rarer as time goes on. Well, they'll be less distributed. All right.
Yeah, I think that's about it for now. Feel free to unmute yourselves and ask any questions in real time, guys.
But if there's but loot is inseparable. Sable. Is there an opportunity outside of loot also?
Yeah, I think at some point we'll have AGold doing something within Realms. We haven't discussed exact specifics yet, but yeah, there's definitely opportunities that we can use AGold within Realms.
Lord Mother. Do you want to? I can just. We just talked about this. I think. Did we get a screen recording going, Squid?
No, we didn't. This is scheduled to be just an AMA, but it kind of went deeper into the alpha.
Yeah. But Lord Mother, you can actually go to. Everybody can actually go to this page if they want. I think it just.
I would also suggest signing up to the alpha because I mean you'll get this whole experience, but exploring it yourself.
Yeah, I mean, you can go to this page, and this is my current wallet on the testnet, and you can see everything. There's some UIs that need tweaking, so you can't interact with them. I mean, you won't be able to complete a transaction, but you can still click these if it's not your wallet yet, but we'll fix this. But we just went through this and explained some of these things and the UI. But I'm pretty sure, Lord Mother, you're part of the alpha anyway. So you'll see this. Yeah, that check mark will do it. That's fine. Yeah, what was it?
I finally managed to get in contact with OpenSea, one of the OpenSea guys yesterday through Discord, and they've finally refreshed our collection, and I've got an open line of communication with them. So he says if it's not up in the next 2 days, to get back in contact, and they'll do a deeper investigation. So that's looking pretty promising so far. It's the first sort of real movement we've had.
That's good. And what do you think will change when we get listed on OpenSea? What do you think? And it obviously just makes it a lot easier to find if you're looking for it specifically. But does it tend to have other benefits in terms of people trust it more, and so therefore more likely to buy, or what are you thinking will change when we get the blue tick?
Definitely for bringing external people in. It's just so much easier when you do have that trust there. It doesn't make you tick that little box at the end being like, this is an unverified collection and so on, which when we're pretty comfortable and familiar with Realms as an external person, when you've only seen a little bit of marketing, then that does become a big impediment to joining. So, and definitely the more discoverability on OpenSea, the better.
One other thing I was going to ask is, there's obviously you got, in terms of the UX, it's so it's intuitive, and you can sit down and play with this and work out yourself without any kind of user guides or anything straight away. Do you have a kind of graphic, kind of a visual, almost like creative direction kind of lead, who, for example, could work with DHAM at the moment to say, right, okay, these are the colorways, the background should be like this, the angle should be like this, actually the tones of the earth should be like this, and then could once you've got the kind of UX, once you've got that kind of once you've got the alpha built, and then they could go along and add a kind of graphic treatment on this to sort of try and create, I guess, more of a brand for Realm rather.
Yeah, I think we're definitely getting to that stage now, where we have to be considering that a bit more.
Yeah, we're working on it.
Okay, cool.
It's coming together, and you're contributing some quality things, and we've got a bunch of other. I think Lord Rev is working on a few things as well. If anyone wants to, I know what you mean. We need consistent kind of
brand guidelines.
Brand guidelines. It's just kind of defining it as we go. Yeah. But yeah, it's coming together. I mean, I've just been head down doing this alpha.
Exactly. So. You want somebody. Basically, you want somebody who can exactly. You want to focus on getting the user experience, right? And then you want somebody who can come along and just say, right, okay, this is the vision that you have. Fine, let me go away and work up 3 different concepts for visual treatment. Come back to you and show, this is what the web page would look like in this segment. This is how we would take the logo and make it feel, like this. And then here's the maps. Okay, and then here's all the color palettes we'd use, and then it kind of takes all of this development work and then it puts that kind of like final layer of like recognizable, distinctive branding and identity that when people see us, they're like, okay, that's that.
Yeah, I think as a community, I guess maybe we need to decide on some of those overarching themes on how we want that to work, and then might be a good use for some of the treasury money to put that out to a bounty.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's probably a good. That's a good use of it. Oh, secret just dropped off. All right. Well, I think that was all the questions. So I think we've been going for an hour and a half now. We'll probably I think we'll end it here. But any other questions or whatnot, just get the chatter going.
Just Grug's question there. I think we should
Oh, Grug.
answer there.
Which one?
Will we be able to sort and filter our SRAMs by orders and/or resources on Biblio?
Yes, you will be.
And rarity.
Yes, and rarity.
Can I also ask another quick one?
Sure.
So for the alpha, did I hear you say progress would be wiped then? Once the test was kind of done.
Yeah, it's just alpha on it. It's all just testnet ETH, so it's all free.
Cool. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, no, it doesn't cost anything. The alpha doesn't cost anything. I don't know. I'm not sure how familiar you are with how, these, but have a look here. So there's a testnet, is an ETH testnet called ETH Rinkeby, which is just like, this is what all these contracts are running on. And, you can get free ETH Rinkeby. They can just, like, this isn't real. I got a lot of Rinkeby ETH. It's not real. It's just testnet stuff. And so the way development cycle works is we do we do everything on the testnets, and it's a one-to-one representation of what it will how it will work in production. And so we get it right with this, and then we deploy the contract once to production, because you don't want to have to redeploy it twice, because deploying these contracts costs quite a bit of ETH. So, and we just want to get the contracts exactly right on this testnet, and then we then we do it. Then we deploy to production. So, by wiping it, I'm just meant, it might come a point where we've realized, we need to, change one of the contracts for some unknown reason, which means that, we might need to wipe the storage of all the things that you've built, for example. But we might not have to wipe it at all. I'm just saying, like, if the alpha is going to be, in the weeds, finding stuff, it's going to be bug hunting and, feedback and stuff. So the open beta is going to be a bit different, because the beta is going to be like, just, we'll heavily promote it to like everybody, but the alpha is we're just promoting it to, the lords right now. Because we just want the core kind of, the core people, contributing, and the people that are active in the community contributing to this alpha. Because the alpha in software just means like it's like a pre-game, like it's still in development. A beta is meant to be like almost a one-to-one of what the game is. So yeah, don't worry, it's all free ETH, so it doesn't really matter.
No, that's cool. I was just thinking, obviously to find any bugs, we wanted as much interactions as possible, I guess. So
exactly, yeah. No, they're going to do explanations on how to get up and running and stuff on ETH, on Rinkeby. It's pretty easy. And then everyone can just keep giving feedback about whatnot. So
cool.
But yeah, I'm still like, isn't it amazing that we can like play a game on an open database? It's amazing. What's Grug saying now? Artifacts and wonders development.
Yeah, that list of suggestions from Grug was epic, by the way.
Yeah,
I
needed
amazing ideas in there. So
yeah, we got to crawl through them.
We're definitely using it as inspiration.
Yeah. All right. Well, look, that was all great questions, and I hope we answered a bunch of things, and excited for the future. Oh, Krug's got a question for Redbeard.
Yeah.
You mean the ENS thing?
We haven't quite started on it. I mean, we've scoped it out, and it's all very possible. So
I think the service, like it's like a you sign up for notifications through that service, and you put in your ENS, and then it notifies you on like when something you own's been interacted with or something.
Yeah, but it's probably for the PvP element that's going to be really useful. You know,
yeah, that'll be useful. Someone's
just been attacked, or
you've been attacked. That's hilarious.
But yeah, the messaging could be cool as well. Having actual Yeah, we've definitely got some ideas around that, especially with the orders. Having an order chat within the platform. Organize raids within that, but
I mean,
I've got a question
you could go.
regarding the a marketing plan. I know a few weeks ago, I think on the Discord, there was some message around a list of potential influencers the project is looking to reach out to kind of do some promotions and marketing. I know again the last few weeks of focus was to get the development going. Just wanted to know where are we with the marketing, and are we going to step up the marketing and promotion in the near time future?
Yeah, look, I think it's definitely that's what we're looking into. It's just we want we just want to we want to hit the right demographics with the marketing. It's I think we're open to suggestions and whatever. To be honest, hasn't been my kind of core thinking. The direction we take on that. I just know that the people that we want in the game right now, are the real gamers. Not and hear it for like obviously everyone here is interested in the financials of it, but everyone's obviously here for the game of it. And the last thing we want is just people to come in and just quick flippers, which I don't know. I guess there's that balance we need to manage. I don't know, Red, do you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, I think we took the point of view as well that we definitely needed the visual assets sort of backing up to be able to have an effective marketing push, and we're just getting to that stage now with the more fidelity maps and so on, and we'll be getting more assets out there in the next few weeks. So we're at the point now where we are going to be able to do that. I know Lord of a Few comes from a sort of more traditional digital marketing background, so there's definitely lots of creative ways that we can use that too.
I think you guys are like really product led, and so it's you either do hype and then you haven't got a product, or you do what you guys are doing, which is build a product, and then when people arrive, it's like, holy shit, this thing exists and you can play with it. And so I think it's happening the right way.
I think Loot, as you say, Loot had enough hype in those first few weeks that we didn't just want to keep on the hype train and not delivering. So
and we just I think what we're in terms of the free marketing that we're that I'm trying to do, I'm doing a lot of networking. I mean, I'm talking with the Divine DAO guys. Obviously there's the solid cross kind of over with Genesis happening. Talking with the Loot Exchange guys, potentially. I think they're about to open up Loot Exchange to more different loot assets. So, and I know we're on their list for that. So, within the loot ecosystem itself, there's I think there's 100,000 MLoot holders. There's a lot of people just floating around, and so my current strategy, which is free, is just networking and partnering and collaborating with these current other loot projects, because they're really the people that could be the potential first like 10,000 players. They exist already.
Yeah, establishing ourselves in the loot universe is probably the best marketing we can do at the moment.
Yeah, exactly.
22,000 MLoot holders at the moment.
22,000, yeah.
Us
And
getting
it's all
established in the universe gives us access to those that are already readily involved in the ecosystem.
Yeah, there's also a lot of very wealthy loot holders and other people in the ecosystem, and I know there's a bunch of really high level crypto VCs and whatnot in the space that are looking at loot. And I'm not saying this the last thing we want to do is get random investment. We want the whole thing to be community driven, but it's the eyes on the project that are there's more and more eyes every day on it, on like the loot ecosystem as a whole. And us being on the front page of the loot project, for example, is bringing just a lot of eyes as well. Yeah, I'm just trying to make my visibility around the place and on other projects known, so people trace it back to the realms.
Yeah, I think you're doing like the collaboration work and being part of the community rather than just being in a kind of silo. I think you're doing really well at that. And I think that basically once the product is available for everyone to come and play with, it's going to take just the right person to tweet it at the right moment, and all of a sudden it's going to go from 500 in here. Yeah, it will just literally happen one afternoon. We'll log in and I'll be like, fuck, it's 2,500 people in here, and our little cozy little chats will be things of the past.
Yeah. Well, the cool thing about the collab land is that the Lord's table will still only ever be for the Lords. So, but what was I saying? Oh yeah, so I'm probably going to tweet out that thing Dham did today, and do like a how it started, how it's going type meme thing. But and maybe do a background of low fidelity to high fidelity, and this is the just kind of do a thread and a story about it all, which I think this is going to blow people's minds. I mean, I'm sure it totally blown my mind. What Dham's done, and this can just be piped through every single realm, and we can generate these huge maps in 3D, which could potentially be explored. That's 8,000 of them. Isn't that crazy? But I think this is going to blow people's mind.
I'd say that Dham, before that gets publicized, change it up, get it off of that brown background, and maybe change the angle so that it's more like you can see more of the depth. So like
the depth of field. Depth of field. Yeah.
Yeah, and get rid of that brown, like basically tart it up because it's super impressive.
But yeah, there's a little tweak. I think the depth of field, right?
Yeah.
The depth of field.
You kind of change the angle. Oh man! So if the bluest line at the front left there was to sort of like twist like towards, so that you were kind of looking at a sort of less steep angle, you could see more of the topography, I guess.
Details. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Good idea.
Yeah, and definitely get it put onto a nice background. Because it'll really lift it, I think.
Yeah. Cool. All right, we'll play around with that. But yeah, I mean, I think once we publish this and be like where it started, where it's going, I think this could get some good virality to it for sure. I'm sure Dom will retweet it.
Incredibly impressive the way that the Hivemind kind of tracked that. I'm not a software engineer. I'm not a developer, and so I was just following along kind of with interest. But it seemed that like people in that artist group just cracked it and have created something which represents the original NFT so perfectly, you know?
Yeah, it's crazy to think about, right? It's just an upscaled map. Now we can explore it.
Yeah.
It's
I
going to
think
get.
that, yeah,
it'll
it's-
probably become more fidelity as well, as you know. The more like it's not even finished. You know, there's more features to add. There's more biomes to add. There's a bunch of these other things. You know, we might figure out some way to do minerals randomly throughout them, depending on the resources on the realms, for example. They might determine what, or like if there's only a wood realm, then the whole thing is just wood, like forest or something. If it's like, you know, dragons, then there's, I don't know, maybe a little dragon flying around. I don't know. Oh, there's lots of things.
Epic.
Yeah. But yeah, all right. Well, look, we go for almost 2 hours now. But yeah, if we're probably going to I'll do this dev meeting this week, which I'll put a time for, and yeah, let's just keep the chatter going.
Thanks for the update, guys.
All right, thanks guys, thanks everyone. We'll talk to you all later. Bye bye.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Thanks for tuning in, guys. Lords, ladies.